Back to the Hurdle on Tuesday night, May 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Tuesday and Wednesday night, we are here, Cody Carpentier and Matty Kiwoom, for the Hurdle on the Executives of Fantasy Football YouTube channel and on the Player Profiler YouTube channel on Tuesdays. Tonight, Matty, we're talking about the 2024 NFL schedule release because it comes out on Wednesday, May 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We've gotten a couple games so far, just week one, Thursday night, Friday night, and Monday night. Last week, I brought this up, and I felt delusional because I was like, man, I thought there was back-to-back nights. And then it came out, and I was proven right that we do have a game on Thursday night and Friday night. But tonight, we're going to be talking about some games that we know are going to happen. We just don't know when they're going to happen. And we're going to talk about why we're excited about these particular games, and we're going to predict what week we think that they happen. And Matty, how was your weekend?
Weekend was great. Absolutely fantastic. Mother's Day was great. The one nice weather here in New England. But, the NFL just knows how to leave these breadcrumbs so we stay excited and we stay on the edge of our seats. Now, we got the announcement that there was going to be an announcement. We got a little bit of a leak earlier this week, and now we're looking right into about 24 hours or so, 25 hours away. We'll know when these games will be played. If you like Week 17 correlation, that gets you going, that gets your rocks going. For best ball, get ready. The day's almost here.
So far we have, it looks like 4 games announced for the NFL schedule in week number 1. That starts out on Thursday night with the Ravens at the Chiefs. And then Friday night is oh my God, I messed it up already. Eagles and
Packers and Eagles. In Rio
Packers
de
and Eagles
Janeiro.
In Rio de Janeiro. And then Sunday, we have one game that looks like it's out right now. I didn't see this one get announced, but Cowboys at Browns because of the Brady. I think that was the announcement that came out through that. And then Monday is going to be Jets at Niners, Monday Night Football. So those are the 4 games that we have so far. Matty, there's only one rule I'm going to implement here. It's that I can't pick a Viking game and you can't pick a Patriot game. Okay. Sound fair?
That's fair. Right. That's fair. I think that's fair.
I'll let you kick it off here with the first game you're looking forward to in the 2024 season and what week you think it'll happen.
So I think that this game is going to take shape in October. I'm going to put it in around weeks 5, 6, 7. I'm going to put it week 6. I'm going to put it right in the middle there. Week 6. I think and this is a Houston home game. So indoors in Texas, in Houston. The Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. I think it's going to be in week 6. And the reason why I'm excited, Kobe, is quite obvious. There's no way that C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams don't internally realize that they are looking at their adversary for their duration of their career. I know Pat Mahomes is the guy. He's the man of the class. But, as we shift into the second act, the third act of their careers, they'll always be compared. The number 2 pick in 2023, the number 1 pick in 2024. We saw C.J. Stroud out in Tokyo making the rounds, really being highlighted as the new future face of the NFL. Caleb Williams is going to want every bit of that spotlight. Then you bring in this improved offense of Chicago. It's going to be indoors, so for fantasy, we like that. And Houston, they're not too shabby themselves. They're going to be hungry to win this game. They can Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. This is 2 potentially very good offenses showing off what the fans can expect over the future. I think that this game is going to be fun for us fantasy gamers, most importantly, but I think it's going to be one of those games that have unlimited narratives built around it.
I'm going to stick with the Chicago Bears here for my first one. This one is this is a fringe one, so I'm just going to throw it in here because you brought up Chicago. But Carolina at Chicago. This is the battle of the number 1 overall picks the last 2 years, the battle of the infamous trade that gave to the Chicago Bears the number 1 overall pick this year for the Panthers to go up and get Bryce Young. I think this one happens in week 2. Again, we know week 1 the Bears are not going to be playing they're probably going to be playing a divisional team. That's probably the thought here. But week 2 they're going to host the Carolina Panthers, and the one I went back to was the Bengals and the Jaguars. If I go back to the 2021 season, I believe that happened in week 4. The Bengals won by 3. That was Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence. This one's going to be Caleb Williams versus Bryce Young. The reason I put it week 2 is it's probably going to be a noon or a 3 o'clock. It might be the game of the week, the 3:25 game, Central Time, because they want to make sure that Caleb is in, which he's going to be. He's listed as a starter. They want to make sure that Carolina Panthers aren't out of it. They want to make sure this game has as much eyes as it can get, because these are the type of games that if they schedule for week 12, it better be Thursday Night Football, because otherwise it's going to not get a single eye outside of its own market. So Carolina at Chicago, week 2 early in the season. It could be week 3, week 4, but I'm going to go week 2 here for the back-to-back number 1 overall picks. Bryce Young at Caleb Williams, and this one's not going to be close. I think Caleb's going to put the work into the Panthers, and it's going to be one of those things where they come out of that game, and the Panthers are like scratching their head, man. I cannot believe we got okey doked like that over the last 2 drafts.
Yeah, watching DJ Moore catch passes from Caleb Williams is going to be a goddamn nightmare for the Carolina Panthers brass, I'll tell you.
The only benefit is that it's not going to be at home. That's going to be the one thing where like their home
Oh.
crowd isn't going to have to deal with that, because that would be some fucking pain.
Yo, you want to hear booing 2 minutes into the game number 2? Would provoke those type of feelings, big time emotions.
All right, number 2, what do you got?
So you said you could not do Minnesota Vikings, so I went out and did the courtesy of picking one for you. I think that this game will be played on Thanksgiving.
Oh,
The Atlanta Falcons travel to the Minnesota Vikings to square off the Kirk Cousins revenge game. Has all the makings of electricity that we could want. Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson will have their new, hopefully improved offense implemented by Thanksgiving. We will definitely be seeing J.J. McCarthy at the helm by then, barring any type of injuries, which we are not hoping for. And then you have 2 potent offenses, 2 defenses on the rise. Again, a lot of narrative surrounding this. It's going to be good football indoors, Thanksgiving showdown. And I think that this is a game that you could put on your calendar and be very, very excited for, because it has shootout appeal and you can sniff it a mile away. We don't even know when it is, and I'm already smelling it, already getting excited of seeing, the Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison shredding up that secondary that was not improved in the draft. And Michael Penix, he'll be sitting on the sideline watching Kirk Cousins be kind of. Let me ask you this: do you think Kirk Cousins is going to get cheered or booed by the Skull faithful when he goes back to Minnesota this year?
I'm going to be honest. I think it's going to be like a 50-50 split. Those fans are usually very loyal, but the weird thing with Kirk is that he really hasn't been that loyal to the Vikings, and he always said he wanted to stay in Minnesota. He's the famous Kohl's thing where he shops at Kohl's, which is a Minnesota store, and he's very low key. He doesn't spend a lot of money, but he makes a fucking ton. And he tore his Achilles. He literally could have came back on a friendly deal that still would have given him $30 million plus. Instead, he walks for the pay, and I think that there's going to be some salty Viking fans, so I think it's going to be a 50-50 split, and it's going to sound very fucked up. It's going to sound like that, and it's going to be I will probably if I go, which I won't because I'm in Charleston. Actually, you know what? I might. I've got a direct flight now from Charleston, so I might go up there. I'll fucking boo the shit out of him, because I think as a Viking fan, that's some bullshit. That's I didn't want him back in the first place. I thought they should have moved on the last time, but I'm cool with whatever. I mean, I think it's going to be. My question for you is: do you think it's Kirk versus JJ? Do you think there's a potential that it's Kirk versus Darnold, or maybe Penix is playing by that point for some fucking reason, whether Kirk is re-injured or I don't know. Do you think there's any chance that it's not Cousins and JJ?
The only reason would be injury. If there is an injury on either side, I think by Thanksgiving, JJ will be in. It's going to be tough to not play him from get, because at the end of the day, they're not looking to develop McCarthy. They're looking to win with McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell, and this team is looking to win now. Justin Jefferson is not looking to take a year off as he heads into the biggest contract, portion of his career.
Yeah.
So I think that McCarthy gets on the field early, and as long as he stays healthy, he's on the field against Kirk Cousins, which would be, I mean, the one it's not necessarily pushback. The one thing that I'll kind of take back a little bit is I could see this also being, a week 3, week 2 game, kind of how you just mentioned, how they want to make sure that both of the rookie quarterbacks are on the field and kind of on, they can build that narrative in week 2. I think that it's potentially a factor for Kirk Cousins as well. As they want to make sure that he's on the field for the Vikings, but at the same time, they want to make sure JJ's out there. That's why I think it's a perfect time to have Thanksgiving. You bring him home, or bring him back, I should say, to Minnesota, and you just build all the insane narratives around that game.
All right. My second one, I'm going to go. It's going to be early in the season here. Houston at Kansas City. Kansas City is already listed for a game in week 1. I don't think this is a week 2 game. That'll probably be a divisional foe. Week 3, though, in Kansas City at Arrowhead. I got Houston going to Kansas City. The reason I think this is going to be in the first 3-4 weeks of the season, they want to make sure this weather is nice. Kansas City can be a little bit bipolar once you get to mid-October, late October. And this is Houston, Kansas City. This is the new Houston, where this game has the writing on the wall. They want it to be healthy. They want a healthy Hollywood Brown. They want a healthy Travis Kelce. They want healthy teams for this shootout. And they want it to be early in the season so that when it comes back around in the playoffs, people can look back and it's a 42-40 game that gets people hyped up. And if it's a 42-40 game, I'm going to go Sunday Night Football week 3 for Houston at Kansas City. I just think they want this one to be played with good weather up there at Arrowhead.
That makes sense. And at the end of the day, the Chiefs are now equipped to put up those 42 points. I know, we've always wanted them to, and we always thought that was possible because of Mahomes. But this year, the NFL will look at their offense and say to themselves exactly what you just mentioned. Let's make sure that we put some of these shootout games in the beginning while they're all healthy, because we want to see Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy run all over the damn place. And we want CJ Stroud to either play catch up or go punch for punch. That is the type of game I think that they would want, as opposed to you put that game in December and you're looking at a whole lot of Joe Mixon versus Isaiah Pacheco.
All right. Game number 3. What do you got?
So this game, it's as obvious as it gets. It's going to be a Christmas Wednesday game. It's going to be part of the doubleheader on Christmas Day, Wednesday, 12/25/2024. The Baltimore Ravens are going to travel west to play the Los Angeles Chargers. The Harbaugh Bowl on Christmas? You want to talk about a bonanza? You do it. And the reason why you put it on Christmas is doesn't matter about injuries, doesn't matter about record, doesn't matter about statistics. This game will be hyped because it's brother versus brother in Jim's first year back in the NFL. This is going to be the game that you can also bill it as a very pleasing on the television. If teams are healthy, it's in SoFi, it's indoors. Lamar Jackson out west, not having to worry about the elements. It has so much appeal. It has so much la la land around it. The hype, what you could build around that time. And I will say this, the NFL is always looking to stomp out the fire that the NBA has on Christmas. We know that for a fact now because they continue to chase Christmas Day games because they want to be the motherfucker on Christmas, not basketball. You want to talk about a dagger to the heart? You put on Baltimore versus the Chargers the same time the Lakers have their home game, and you watch everyone watch the football game and watch the NBA just go, ooh, that one hurts. That one stings. And then Lamar, Herbert, everything's there. The Harbaugh Bowl, whatever they call it, Christmas Day, Ravens at Chargers.
All right. Week 12-13 is where I put this one at, and it fits so perfectly because it's one of the teams you just talked about against the same division. Chargers at Pittsburgh. Last year, the Chargers traveled to New England in week 12. They won 6-0. The week before that, they were at home against the Ravens. You just said you want to put that Ravens-Chargers game on Christmas. That makes it after this one. So they travel east, play Pittsburgh, and they come back home, and they get the Ravens on Christmas a couple weeks later. Chargers at Pittsburgh, late November, early December for their East Coast trip. I love this one because what do we know Pittsburgh's going to do? They're going to run the shit out of the football, and they're going to play defense with Najee on offense and Jalen Warren and whatever else they do with this offense with Arthur Smith. And in the Charger land, by week 12, 13, this thing will be a well-oiled machine under Coach Harbaugh, whether it's Gus, Kamani Vidal, Adrian Peterson comes out of retirement, maybe LaDainian Tomlinson comes back. They're not going to be throwing the football. They're going to be handing it off with Justin Herbert. And I'm going to be looking forward to a quick – this will be like a hardly charted game. When you chart these games, you're not going to get 160 plays. You're going to get like 75 plays. And this thing's going to end in like an hour and 40 minutes. That's what this game's going to be. And it's going to be snowing in Pittsburgh. And I'm going to go Monday night here, week 12 or week 13, Chargers at Pittsburgh. So
if you like Big Ten football, you going to like that, baby.
That you're going to love that if you like Big Ten football. So out of our 6 games here, you got Chicago at Houston, Atlanta at Minnesota, Baltimore at the Chargers. I have the Chargers at Pittsburgh, Houston at Kansas City, and Carolina at Chicago. I had one more that I wrote down that I actually was going to talk about, but then I jumped to the Carolina-Chicago one. I don't know if you have any other ones to talk about. You can. I'll list this one off first, though. Detroit at San Fran. The rematch of the NFC Championship.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
Kind of in line with the Houston-Kansas City thing. I think it'll be earlier, but I'm going to go like week 7, week 8. They don't want it to be too late in the season because this is a potential rematch in the playoffs. So I'm going to go week 7, week 8, late October for Detroit to travel out to San Francisco and take on the Niners and potentially get back the first time, or maybe lose and then learn again, and then the third time's the charm in the NFC playoffs.
That's a primetime game, right? That's got to be a primetimer.
So, I mean, it's kind of tough sometimes to predict which one's going to be Sunday night or Monday night, but I would love to see that one be a Sunday night football game out in San Francisco,
yes,
mid-late season. And we'll be
awesome.
doing the watch along here on the Hurdle or on the Executives of Fantasy Football. We'll be doing the watch along Detroit, San Fran. That'll be a fun one. Matty, that was a quick show. And we just talked about the 2024 NFL schedule because it's May and we're degenerates and we're trying to find content to talk about as the season has kind of come to a screeching slowdown. But we're never going to slow down. If you go over to the draftrankings.com, you can stay tuned in and you can always stay tapped in with your boys, Matty Kiwoom, Cody Carpentier. We'll be back tomorrow night on the Executives of Fantasy Football YouTube channel for the Hurdle. Seth will be back, I should say, with Matty on Wednesday night. But we'll be back. Make sure you click that like button, click subscribe, and always stay tuned in and stay tapped in. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back next time.